Imagine for a second you are tasked with transporting the modern equivalent of millions of dollars in gold and silver. You have to move it 900 miles across dangerous, bandit-infested territory.
Sounds like the plot of a heist movie or a job for an armored convoy.
Exactly. But here is the catch. You explicitly refused the armored convoy. You told the most powerful king on earth that you didn't need his soldiers because your God would protect you. So now, you're standing by a river, looking at your pile of treasure, looking at your vulnerable families, and realizing you have to put your money where your mouth is.
That is a terrifying level of pressure, but that is exactly where we find Ezra in the text we are looking at today. It's a story about leadership, incredible risk, and then a very dark, very difficult turn toward the end.
It really is a story of two halves. The first half is this triumphant, almost Indiana Jones-style journey. The second half? It's a legal and emotional courtroom drama that leaves you feeling pretty conflicted.
It's the hard reset of the Israelite nation. So let's set the stage. We are in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of Persia. Decades after the first exiles returned to Jerusalem, we meet Ezra. Who is this guy?
The text gives us his genealogy immediately, tracing him all the way back to Aaron the chief priest. It's establishing his credentials. He isn't just a random enthusiast. He's blue blood priesthood. But more importantly, he's described as a skilled scribe.
Right, and in this context, a scribe isn't just a copyist, he's a scholar, a legal expert. He has set his heart to study the law, do it, and teach it. He is the ultimate academic practitioner, and somehow he gains the favor of Artaxerxes.
The letter the king gives him is mind-blowing. It's basically a blank check. Artaxerxes says, "Go to Jerusalem. Take anyone who wants to go with you, and here is a mountain of silver and gold."
It's fascinating politics. Why would a Persian king fund a Jewish temple? The text actually gives us the reason in the king's letter. He says, why should there be wrath against the realm of the king and his sons? It's an insurance policy.
He's hedging his bets. He doesn't want the God of Israel angry at his administration.
Exactly. He's superstitious and pragmatic. He even grants tax-exempt status to the temple workers, priests, singers, gatekeepers. No tribute, no custom, no toll. It's the ancient equivalent of 501c3 status.
And he gives Ezra judicial power, the authority to appoint magistrates and execute judgment, even up to the death penalty. Ezra isn't just a priest, he's a governor with a badge.
So Ezra gathers a group to go with him. They meet at the river Ahava, and this is where we get a very human moment. Ezra is doing a head count, looking around at the crowd, and he realizes something embarrassing.
No Levites.
0. He has priests, he has regular people, but the actual workers, the Levites who do the heavy lifting in the temple, didn't show up.
It's like trying to run a hospital with doctors but no nurses.
Precisely. So he has to pause the whole expedition and send a delegation to recruit them specifically. He eventually gets about 40 Levites and 220 temple servants. But once the team is assembled, they have to move. And this brings us back to that no bodyguards moment.
I love how honest Ezra is in the text. He says, "I was ashamed to ask the king for a band of soldiers."
Because he had already bragged to the king. He told Artaxerxes, the hand of our God is on all those who seek him. If he turned around and said, actually, can I borrow the cavalry? It would look like his God wasn't actually that powerful.
It's a reputation bet. He staked God's reputation on their safety. So instead of sharpening swords, they fast.
They fast and pray by the river, and it works. They travel for months, carrying incredible wealth, and the text just simply says God delivered them from the hand of the enemy and bandits. They make it to Jerusalem safely.
When they arrive, there is this meticulous accounting scene. They weigh everything. Every ounce of silver and gold is counted. It shows Ezra's integrity. He's not skimming off the top.
It's a high point. The journey was successful, the money is safe, the sacrifices are offered. You expect the credits to roll here. It feels like a happy ending.
But it's not. Chapter 9 hits like a freight train.
The honeymoon period lasts exactly 4 months. Then, the local leaders approach Ezra with a scandal. They tell him that the people of Israel, including the priests and leaders, have not separated themselves. They've been marrying the locals, Canaanites, Hittites, Egyptians.
Now, to a modern ear, this sounds like we are dealing with prejudice. Why is this treated as such a catastrophe?
That is the crucial question. If we view this through a modern lens of race, we miss the point. In the ancient Near East, and specifically for Israel, this wasn't about biology or skin color. It was about theology.
The text lists those nations specifically because of their religious practices, right? Abominations is the word used.
right? These nations worshipped other gods, often with practices that were morally repugnant to Jewish law. The fear wasn't impurity of blood, it was the erasure of identity. If you marry into the surrounding culture, within one generation, your kids aren't worshiping Yahweh anymore. They're worshiping Baal or Molech. The distinct people of God would cease to exist.
So it's an existential threat.
In Ezra's eyes, yes, they just got back from exile, a punishment for abandoning God. Now, the remnant is doing the exact same thing that got them destroyed in the first place.
Ezra's reaction is intense. He doesn't just get mad. He tears his clothes, pulls hair out of his head and beard, and sits in stunned silence until the evening sacrifice.
It's visceral grief. He's not angry at them so much as he is terrified for them. When he finally stands up to pray, it's one of the most moving confessions in the Bible. Note the pronouns he uses. He doesn't say they have sinned. He says, our iniquities have increased. We are guilty.
He identifies with the sin of the people even though he just got there.
That is true leadership. He owns the corporate failure. He acknowledges that they are slaves in their own land, surviving only by the brief moment of grace from God. He asks, shall we again break your commandments? It's a rhetorical question with a deadly serious implication. If we screw this up, there won't be another chance.
The scene shifts to chapter 10, and it's incredibly dramatic. Ezra is weeping before the temple. A huge crowd gathers, men, women, children, and they start weeping too. It's a mass emotional breakdown.
And then a man named Shechaniah speaks up. He admits the guilt but says there is hope for Israel, and his solution is radical.
He proposes a covenant to divorce all the foreign wives and send them away, along with their children.
Just pause on that. In our modern context, that sounds horrific. Breaking up families, sending away children.
It feels brutal.
It is brutal, and we shouldn't sugarcoat that, but we have to understand the stakes they felt. They believed they were cutting out a cancer to save the body. If they didn't do this, the community would dissolve into the pagan culture around them. It was a choice between spiritual survival and emotional devastation.
Ezra agrees. He makes the leaders swear an oath. Then they issue a proclamation. Everyone has to come to Jerusalem within 3 days. If you don't show up, you lose your property, and you're kicked out of the tribe.
The imagery here is so cinematic. It's the 9th month. It's winter. People are sitting in the open square in front of the temple. They are shivering.
The text says they were trembling because of this matter and because of the great rain.
You can see it, can't you? Thousands of men huddled in the cold rain, terrified of God's wrath, knowing their families are about to be torn apart. It's a miserable scene. They actually tell Ezra, look, it's raining too hard. We can't stand out here, and there are too many of us to fix this in one day.
It's a logistical nightmare. So they set up a commission. For 3 months, the leaders examine every case one by one.
It wasn't a mob frenzy. It was a slow, painful legal process. They interviewed the men, verified the marriages, and executed the divorces.
And the book ends in the strangest way. It just lists the names.
It's a list of shame, essentially. It lists the priests, the Levites, the singers, and the regular citizens who had married foreign women.
It's jarring. You expect a concluding paragraph like, and then they lived happily ever after. But it just lists the guys who got it wrong and stops.
There is a heavy silence in that ending. It underscores the cost of holiness. The book of Ezra starts with a high. Kings, gold, miracles on the journey. It ends with men offering rams for their guilt and saying goodbye to their wives.
It raises a difficult question about the nature of faith. Sometimes doing the right thing, the thing required to maintain identity and obedience, doesn't feel good. It feels like amputation.
Exactly. It forces us to ask, what is the price of distinctiveness? Ezra 7-10 tells us that you can have the king's gold and the king's favor, but if you lose your own identity, you have nothing. Ezra chose identity, no matter how much it hurt to keep it.
It's a sobering reminder that restoration isn't always about adding things. Sometimes it's about painful subtraction.
Well put. And on that heavy note, we will wrap up for today. It's a story of gold, rain, and a very difficult choice.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
If you have been blessed by this, please like, subscribe, and share this joy with others. God bless.